I'm just gonna get to it. So I'm just parting my hair, and then I'm gonna start with one side, and then we'll do the other. I think I'm gonna start with this side, so we're gonna... Which side? No. All right. Usually I have a hair tie, but I didn't bring it in with me. I might need to go get it. We'll see. I'll just clip that bottom there for now. Okay. Thanks for joining, you guys. I think I need to back up a little bit. My hair's getting a little long. Okay. Oof. That is like a straight gun. There we go. All right. Okay, there we go. All right. So the idea of following the cycle of the moon is like no different. And you might have heard something, you know, similar with farmers doing planting and harvesting by the cycles of the moon. This particular lunar hair chart that I'm following was developed by a hair shaman. That Anthony Morocco is his method. He's the same hair shaman that I was taught this blunt snip scissor hair cutting technique that I'm going to show you. And he took into consideration the Farmer's Almanac, the cycles of the moon, the summer or the solstices and the equinoxes are all into play. So it's kind of a different idea of thinking about cutting your hair and tapping into the energy of the moon on certain days for certain things. So this haircut technique, I'm using blunt scissors. And all I'm doing is going to just be taking off just a tiny little bit of the ends. This is kind of like my monthly pruning. It really helps invigorate and regenerate and get your hair going again. And it's really actually really simple to do by yourself. And I can't tell you the last time that I went to a hairstylist, even though I had a hairstylist growing up for a very, very long time, for years and years and years. And I loved her, and then she moved, and it's so sad when your hairdresser moves away. Hi, you guys. Okay, so basically all I'm doing, okay. I saw this lady once on a TikTok, and she gave herself bangs, and they were so adorable. She looked so cute. I loved her bangs, so I was like, I want bangs. So I cut myself some bangs, and here they are. But I want to grow them out because I forgot the reason why I don't ever have bangs is because when my hair gets short up here, I have these like silly little cowlicks and twisties, and so my hair will just do all these weird things. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. That's why I don't like bangs. So as they're growing out, we'll just take these first, and then we'll get going. But basically all you're doing is you're just gonna comb your hair straight down to the very ends. You're gonna pull it tight. I gotta make sure I see the ends. So I just have a little bit off, a little bit at the ends here, and I'm cutting just a little bit off is what I meant to say. So really just like 1/8 of an inch is all you need. You know, some people might be a little bit worried about cutting their own hair. They don't want to, you know, like ruin it or... See, this is good. This is good. This is like new growth, new hair growth. And we love to see that, especially when we've been dealing with... Thank you for the hearts. When we've been dealing with like hair loss. Oh, I know there was a time when I went through a lot of hair loss. In fact, on one of my TikToks, you can see what my hair was like. It was like up to here, and it was thin. Like if you could see right through it to the back of the wall. It was really, really in bad shape. And then I started doing more natural products on my hair. I did this, what they call an elixir series on my hair that was just trying to help restore it and get it back to a healthy state. And man, it has taken off. It has grown so well, and it's so thick. So I am a firm believer that your hair can turn around if you're dealing with hair loss of any kind. You know, there's a lot to that, but that's it. And so it's not a scary thing really to cut your own hair, especially doing this method, because really all we're trying to do is just prune it. It's like pruning your plants. So so I have this plant. It's a beautiful plant when it blooms. It's a very delicate plant. Like the stems easily break. But anyway, I adopted it from my son. It was his plant, but he couldn't take it with him when he moved. And his motto for that plant was, oh, I just want to see what it's going to do. I just want it to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. I was like, all right. So I did not touch that plant. Well, he came to visit me over the weekend, last weekend, actually, because his sister's having a baby. It's our first baby, our first little baby in the family, my first grandbaby. But anyways, and he looked at that plant and he's like, Mom, there's so much dead on this plant. Why haven't you cut it or anything? And I was like, well, because you said you wanted to just grow. Don't worry about it. Just grow. And he's like, yeah, but you got to cut off the dead things. So like the first thing he did here before he even like got his bags out of the car was went right over to that plant and started pruning it up, taking care of all the dead branches. And oh my gosh, that thing looks so beautiful now and lively and vibrant. And I swear there's new growth on it. And so I kind of look at these monthly hair cuttings the same way. You know, I think ideally we want to try to cut our hair like between 4 to 6 weeks. I used to not cut my hair really ever. And maybe that was part of the problem too, is, you know, you want to make sure you're getting a good pruning. So yeah, this is why I call it the pruning, because when you're cutting your hair this way, you're cutting off dead ends, so then the energy doesn't have to worry about all these dead ends back here. It can worry about, you know, strengthening and growing your hair. And as I'm doing my haircut today, we're working on, I forgot, what did I say? Oh yeah, beautifying. I want to beautify my hair, whether that's, you know, add volume to it, make it softer, smoother, whatever it is, you know. Beautifying, I think, is all encompassing. I think we all have different ways of what we think how we could have our hair be beautiful. But anyway, back to this pruning. Basically, all you're doing is you're just taking small strands of your hair, coming all the way to the bottom till about 1/8 of an inch, and then you're just snipping it. And we're not going to go back and worry about any loose ends, any hair that didn't really got missed this month. It's going to get it next month. We don't have to worry about anything like that. Just let it be. Don't worry so much about it. The idea behind this blunt snip, now I've heard, you know, the yays to it, the nays to it. Some people don't like it, other people love it. But the idea behind it is that when you're doing a blunt snip haircut and you're just doing straight across the ends, it's helping to seal the ends and protect it from further breakage, damage, from split ends. And so that's kind of like why I like this method, is one, I can do it myself pretty easily. And I really do need the help with like split ends and stuff, because I would say that's my worst, or my biggest issue with my hair is split ends. And I think it's because my hair has kind of a natural curl to it. And so I feel like it's more prone to being dry, and then I live in a dry climate. And so those two kind of like, and did you see that's kind of like long and wispy right here? So I'm just gonna take that off. Oh, I dropped my scissors. All right. And I'm gonna just do another one of these. Yeah. Perfect. My comb. So I started my haircut journey, this lunar hair cutting. I started this about 7 months ago. No. Yeah, this is my 7th month of doing it. But if you wanted to join me in my haircutting journey and doing it yourself and kind of being part of this lunar haircut tribe, that'd be awesome. We can share notes and share what's worked and share, you know, some of the successes that you're having with your hair. Like, is it transforming throughout these haircuts throughout the year, and all the goals that you're doing for your hair? I think sometimes we're really hard on our hair, like, ugh, we may not speak so kindly to our hair. We may not like this or that about our hair and stuff. And I think now, as you take the time to think of goals for your hair, you know, in the Polynesian community, in their culture, they view the hair as your crown of glory, and they honor it. And I think it's kind of a nice thought. I have been very like critical of my hair, and I haven't really thought of my hair as my crown of glory. But if we think about it in that light and start being kind, sending good, positive, if we're talking about energy of the moon, you know, we have our own energy that we're giving off and the things that we're saying to our hair. Maybe we should envision, if you're having hair loss and it's, you know, thinning out and stuff, could we, even though the reality is, yes, that's happening, but how do you want your hair to be? Do you want your hair to be thick and luscious? Well, then let's start feeding that kind of a vibe to our hair. Let's envision our hair being that way, and maybe we will then be prompted and guided in those products, treatments, things that will help our hair. Because, you know, there are so many people telling you, I was thinking about this the other day, because truly there is so many people saying this, that, and the other. This is good. Try this. Do this. And you're like, oh my gosh. Makeup for me is a good example. Hair or skincare. I have spent so much money following this person's advice, this person's advice. And then I got to thinking, we follow so many people. Do we forget to follow our own gut, our own intuition, our own... I do color my hair myself. Yes, I'm a natural redhead. But my roots are going gray, lightening up a little bit, so I dye it, but I do henna. I don't do chemical dyes on my hair, and I haven't done chemical dyes on my hair for probably, I don't know, 5-6 years now. And that was another thing, like, I have been so harsh on all of the chemicals that I've put in my hair over the years. In fact, growing up, growing up in the 80s, perms, big hair, all that was just like the in thing. And so my mom, we always permed our hair. It was like every time we go in, it's like time for the perm, we get our hair curled. And finally in like high school, I was like, I'm done with this. And then my hair was like curly, and I was like, are you kidding me? I've had naturally curly hair this whole time and I didn't know it because I kept having it permed and dyed. You know, I did all the stuff. Like, did the little highlights in my hair. I love all that stuff. But as I was getting older, I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't want to go gray quite yet, and I don't want to use chemical every month on my hair or what have you to keep that up, I decided to start looking for alternative means. And so I went with Madison Reed is a good company that has like chemically free dyes. So I started with them. And then I don't know, I guess I've just always been weird in the sense that I always just find these different roads and avenues, and I started doing a lot of research into henna, and I decided to try henna. And I haven't looked back. I love henna. But henna takes commitment, because there's a lot of things that you gotta kind of be aware of. And so I do, I started out with just a red. Red is the pure henna. And I mean, because my hair was already red, it just sort of enhanced the red. And so red really works really well for me. But you can get dark henna for like brown hair, light brown hair. But the one thing that I would say about henna is that you can't lighten your hair with henna. They do have like henna for blondes. They even have a henna that's not a color, that's just a good deep conditioner. You'll notice, like, if you do henna, thank you, for henna, it just is a really good like conditioner on your hair too. And it makes it shiny. It's just great. But like I haven't put henna on my hair, on my ends or anything. I haven't like done a full hair henna dye for probably 4 or 5 years. And the reason why is because I wanted to have my hair kind of go back to its natural red as best as it could. And then so I do my ends, or my roots, I do with a color that is called copper, and it's a blend of the pure red and it has the brown henna. I don't know the technical names, but if you really want to know, I can find out for you. In fact, I have a henna that's no color, because somebody had asked me about that once, and I actually do have a henna that has no color in it that I was going to show how you apply it. And I still need to do that, but it takes time. Like, henna is not just your half hour sitting under that. I mean, obviously you've got to apply it, but then at the same time it requires a setting time. It has to sit on your hair. So I just have to mentally get into the groove of like, okay, it's henna time, we're gonna do it. And there's lots of different companies out there for henna. And dang it, my favorite henna that I've gotten, there's two companies I really like. Henna from Morocco Method, which is Anthony Morocco's company, whom I found when I was going through like trying to find alternative ways to dye my hair, but also his products were the ones that I tried and went to when my hair started falling out. It went real thick, it was very weak. He has a whole elixir series for that I committed to and did till the whole bottles were gone. I mean, and honestly, I contribute like the health of my hair to his products, especially that elixir, the elixirs that he has. I'm just about done, but I take time. This is my time for me and my hair. If you are a swimmer or even like doing heavy uses of like mousse or volumizers or anything like that, I don't know if you guys feel it, but sometimes like after I get out of the pool, because I've been doing a lot of lap swimming, you know, your hair just feels gross because it's got all those chemicals and stuff in it. And so one thing that's really good to do like once a month, or even if you can do it like once a season, like every 4 months or something, is to do a Zen detox on your hair. And basically, I mean, you can do it a cheap way. It's basically just bentonite clay, and you can get bentonite clay pretty much anywhere at a health food store, Amazon, I'm sure. But yeah, you put this bentonite clay, the muddy mix, and you just massage it all over your hair, get it in your strands and on your scalp and stuff, and you just let it sit there for like 20 minutes. If you're a beginner of a detox on your hair, you really only want to use it for 20 minutes, but you can use it up to 60 minutes as long as it doesn't dry. If you're kind of a pro detoxer, if you're an amateur at it, you don't want to do that because you could get some side effects like a headache or something like that when you're detoxing, and you can, that even happens when you're detoxing your hair. But the whole point is, so, you know, hair care, hair maintenance, if you're trying to do things a little more natural and but you will love your root volumizer, or, you know, something that you're using on your hair that makes it soft, or you're using heat, because I still love heat, and you got to have the heat protector on it and stuff like that. And I don't do it very often, but sometimes, you know, sometimes I just like a smooth, heated look. But anyways, so Zen detoxing your hair like once a month, every few months is a great idea. And bentonite clay is cheap and easy to use. Look at that. And so I have a Zen detox actually from Morocco Method. It's kind of my go-to place for what I like, but there's their bentonite clay. They've infused it with different herbs and stuff that are very good for your hair. Like, you know, rosemary is really good for your hair. There's a bunch of others. But rosemary is the only one that I can think of right now. But anyway. So there's the Zen detox. That's one thing you can do to help kind of cleanse all the chemicals and things out of your hair. So these elixirs that I was telling you about, they're called the Goddess Elixir series. They're kind of expensive, but sometimes when you're at your wit's end and you've tried this and that, and when your hair is falling out, there's a lot of products on the market, and I know a lot of them are super expensive. And these elixirs are no different. But I had such good success with other things that I thought, well, I'll try these elixirs. In fact, it was, I don't know, sometimes I have these knee-jerk reactions, you know, like when you just don't put much thought into it. Like I woke up one day, and it was when my hair was really short and really thin and really blah. It was falling out everywhere. And I was going through a lot, you know, I had a lot of stress in my life. So stress is a huge contributor to our hair falling out. So is, there's a good little spot. I'll just get this little thing. So is our hormones. You know, a hormonal imbalance is a contributing factor. Having babies, well, that's because that's a hormone thing. But anyway, I woke up one morning and I looked in the mirror. Like, you know how you do, you like look in the mirror to see how the back of your head. And I was like, oh my gosh, my hair looked so terrible. So I went into my son's room at the time. I was like, knock, knock. And I'm like, hey, do you know how to cut a straight line? Of course he does. I said, could you just cut my hair? So I gave him the scissors. And I'm like, here, just cut it. And it had grown a little bit at that point. So I was like, I just need to get rid of it and start over, kind of. So I did. But that's when I started using the elixirs. But those elixirs, like I was saying, they're a commitment, because what you have to do is you have to put them on. So you have to rotate through the bottles. In 1 week you use one bottle, the next week you use another bottle, and every night before you go to bed, you're massaging all of the elixir, not all of the bottle, but you're massaging a good amount into your scalp, and then you're going to bed. So you want to make sure that you have something to protect your precious pillowcases, if that's important to you. And then, so you do that 1 week, then you rotate, and then you do the other one, and you do that until those bottles are gone. So it is a commitment, because it takes a few weeks to get through those bottles. And then they always recommend just going back through those like once a year, twice a year if you can. But they do have, I always like to buy them when they go on sale, because they have like 50% discounts. And if you guys are ever interested, like in my bio, if you go to my link, there's a link to the Morocco Method store, and you can see what they have, because they have all sorts of stuff. They have, okay. Whoosh, whoosh. All right, so we're done with that side, and then we're gonna go on to the next side. So that is it, you guys. That is to beautify it. La la. It's magically beautified now. I'm kidding. But I gotta re-wet it now, because now I gotta do one down the center. So you cut both sides, and then you just take from both sides to just sort of blend the center, and then you're done.